E2 I guess. So, a little bit of background. My educational background. You guys can't just be taking lessons from a stranger and not know if this person is accredited or not. So, I'm an attorney by profession, currently on the roll for as a practicing attorney, excuse me, but I'm not going to be practicing this year. So, educational background, I guess. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Law and Psychology. I have a LLB and I have an LLM, and that's just all by God's grace. I studied at Northwest University in Potchefstroom. So it's important that you guys check the people that you guys follow online, as in if you're going to be taking advice, for example, or study tips. It's not even legal advice, it's study tips. Make sure that this person is accredited. You remember what happened with the whole Dr. Matthew thing, right? So please, guys, if there's one thing... first things first that we kind of need to get into, let's lay the ground rules, right? If we're going to be interacting properly with each other, we need to have ground rules. For me, the first one is let's be kind to each other, please, guys. I do not tolerate mean girl or mean boy energy, snarky comments. On TikTok especially, I delete. On YouTube, I'm going to do the same thing as well. Let's be respectful. If a comment is not going to help, it's not helpful towards the next person, or it's not kind, let's just keep it to ourselves. Let's not share it. Kindness for me is everything. I don't tolerate disrespect, whether it's in the comments or in the DMs. Awesome sauce. The next thing that we need to discuss is WhatsApp groups and notes. So in regards to WhatsApp groups, guys, I do not feel comfortable being in any WhatsApp groups because then I'm going to be overwhelmed, because then I'll have like 100 WhatsApp groups that I'm going to be in, and I don't feel like that's fair on me. I am available for you guys on YouTube, on TikTok, and I'll start an Instagram page as well. And yeah, I respond to DMs as well on those platforms. So with my personal number, unfortunately, guys, I'm not going to be able to share that. I think I'll keep that piece for my friends and my family. I just needed to address that. And then the next thing that we need to discuss is notes. Guys, I do not sell notes. I do not have notes to give out, especially notes that are bought. It's illegal to share notes that are bought. So for example, the Harvey Leroux notes, if you have them and you're like sharing them with your friends, it's illegal. So I do not sell notes. I do not have, at this point in time, I do not sell notes. I have not made my own. Maybe that will change one day in the future, but right now I don't have notes of my own. So please, guys, do not ask me for notes. I do not have notes. I just thought it'd be best I address it here. I have received a lot of DMs asking me for notes. I do not have notes, guys. Yeah. Okay. So last night I got really excited and I decided, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna discuss letters of demand. So now I'm gonna do it properly and thoroughly. Guys, letters of demand are the starting point. So remember, the legal process, right, only starts after the letter of demand. You demand something first, and then what your threat is in the letter of demand is that failure to do whatever will result in us taking legal action against you. Legal action is when now summons are served, issuing of summons. That's the legal process. So when it's summons, that's when the legal process starts. So remember, your starting point it's always a trick question. It's the letter of demand, and then the legal process starts. Okay, fine. So with the letter of demand, I said in my video last night, it's very important that you understand that if your letter of demand is properly drafted, right, it is basically a mirror of your particulars of claim. If it's drafted so well, you will not struggle with your particulars of claim. That's how detailed it needs to be, that you can draft your particulars of claim from it. Do you understand the level of detail that you need to go into? So let's start with this letter of demand, right? So with this letter of demand, I'm not going to go through the format of a letter. We're going to go through the important aspects. First thing is your subject line. What is in your subject line? So your subject line needs to be clear. So it would be, for example, Mr. Smith / Miss Mabaso / area amount for cell phone contract with Cell C, right? It needs to be clear. When I read the subject line, I need to know what this letter is about. You'll notice that if I'm saying Mr. Smith, let's say Mr. Smith is the person representing cell C. Or just, for example, another example, could be cell C, Miss Mabaso, Aria amount for cell phone contract. Okay, so we're good with the subject line. When I read it, I should know what this letter is about. It tells me, it's like an introduction. Okay, cool, fine. When we're looking at the body, right? Simple things, guys. It's very simple things. Short, sweet, straight to the point. You guys know I like to get straight to the point. You now need to say on whose behalf, who are you, and on whose behalf are you sending this letter. So we are X and Y attorneys representing this person, and we're writing to you on their behalf regarding whatever, right? The contract regarding the ARIA amount, or the contract that was entered into, that, right? You write that. And then when you continue, now you have to set out the cause of action. On the 15th of July, Miss Mabaso entered into a cell phone contract with, I have to write the detail, with Cell C, stipulating that she would pay this amount of money every month for this cell phone, description, the whole thing. You put in the whole number, the color of the cell phone, everything, right? And the airtime that she's going to be getting, data and everything. Which her account will be debited on this date. And then you write, after you've set out all those facts for the cause of action, right? Still there. You're going to write what this person failed to do. So she failed to make payment, right? On numerous occasions, namely on the 15th of March, April, and May, right? The total amount in arrears is all right? After setting out that cause of action, right, and what the person failed to do, because you've got that's in your cause of action. Now, what you need to do next, right? Simple. What you need to do next, right, is you need to demand something. And when you demand something, you demand that they make payment, full payment, right? And then you write the amount, right? So when I read this letter of demand, I shouldn't have any questions. I should know how much I owe, right? So full amount, the full amount of 2,000 Rand must be paid by the 3rd of March. And then you write what happens if you fail to make the payment, right? So failure to do so will result in Cell C taking legal action against Miss Mabaso, wherein summons will be served upon her person. And then you close off your letter. So that's how you would do the letter in real life, right? Now, in the board exam, you don't have that kind of time to be getting the clause 7.3, clause whatnot. No, you don't have that kind of time in the board exam. Look at the mark allocation. If it says 8 marks, you kind of know the amount of information that you need to put in. Basic information, you understand? But now, obviously, if it's a 15 to 20 mark letter, you need to draft it so thoroughly, really, really thoroughly, this rule. If you get to a point where you don't know how to answer a question, let's say it's a letter of demand you don't know how to answer, remember to use the question words: who, what, when, where, why, how. If you ask yourself those questions, you're able to draft that letter, because that's basically requesting all the information that's mandatory, that's necessary. So if you get stuck, who are we writing this letter to? What is this letter about? When, where, why, how? Anytime you get stuck, use the question words to answer your question. Guys, remember that being a candidate attorney, right, is basically preparing you for the real world. So what you need to keep in mind is that you need to be able to think on your feet. And that's how I survived. You need to be able to think on your feet. Use the skills and the knowledge that you have to help you get through whatever it is that you're going through right now. If you're drafting something for the first time and you can't find precedent, you can't find a template, question words. Look for a document that's similar and then draft from there, and then add in the bits and pieces that you need or that are mandatory, the information that is required, right? And then your principal will probably add a couple of things here and there. I remember I had to draft, I think it's a Rule 43 and maintenance. And I was a candidate, I think I was in the first couple of months. I had to draft that thing from scratch. And remember with the Rule 43, this is also, you guys remember this word, incidental of the proceedings while the divorce is happening. You guys know the word. I'm not going to give it to you, but you know. And I was panicking. It's a very dense application, and I had to draft it from scratch with no templates. So what I did was I had to think on my feet. You guys are so smart. You guys have got this. You guys are so smart. You guys have resources. You guys have people. You guys have people on TikTok who will tell people on literally on Instagram. Like, make use of those resources. Make use of all of these websites that have templates and so forth, but change them and add your own spice. Don't just copy and paste, because you will get caught. You will get caught. So please, let's do the right thing. Let's be ethical while also, you know, being smart about things. To the candidate attorneys who just started preparing, like in the last week or even this week, you can make it. You genuinely can make it. You just need to double down. Like, you need to work a little bit harder than everyone else. So don't ever feel discouraged. I'm not motivating someone to start in the last minute and say, listen, if you start a week before, you'll make it. All I'm saying is that right now you still have time. I mean, there's still about 3 weeks. So those of you who are behind, you can still catch up. Just double down. Just double down. Work a little bit harder. Wake up early. And shout out to those people who've been joining my roll call at 10 to 4 in the morning, who've been waking up to study. Your hard work will pay off. The fact that you were able to wake up at that time is chef's kiss. So yeah.